Parliament is focusing on the bottom line. National Treasury has briefed Parliament's Finance Committee on its plans for the year. Officials say they're feeling the squeeze from low economic growth and reduced tax revenue. But they've stressed that they'll curb wasteful expenditure, with state procurement firmly in the spotlight. For the latest now, we're joined by eNCA's Lindsay Dentlinger, who's tracking those developments for us at Parliament. Now, Lindsay, how exactly does Treasury plan to reform tender processes?
Good afternoon, Marcel. Well, the Treasury Deputy Minister, Finance Deputy Minister David Masondo is saying that it's not just one person's job to rein in the expenditure, and really it's got to be an effort across government departments and across government levels. But one way that they're hoping immediately will contain some of the, if I can call it, rogue tender processes that go on across government is a public procurement bill. Right now they say there's just too many pieces of legislation, too many regulations across all spheres of government that regulate how these departments and how local government and others procure their services, and they want to bring that all under one piece of overarching legislation. And a public procurement bill is in at advanced stages at the moment and should be making its way to Parliament very soon. The Treasury General, Director General Dondo Mohojane, saying they want it to be so precise that even an overseas international company will be able to know exactly what the rules are with regard to trying to get business from government.
Now, state-owned companies are very much still a talking point, and they're seen as a major drain on the fiscus. Did that come up in discussions as well? What's the plan there?
It was certainly something that MPs raised as a concern to them, how, given that the economic climate we find ourselves in, and as you said, the squeeze on the fiscus, how they're going to deal with state-owned enterprises. The Treasury saying they're really leaving this up to public enterprises to come up with a plan as to how reform is going to happen at these entities. MPs saying that they want to know what's going to be different this time around, and Treasury saying it will really be playing that role in tandem with the public enterprises to work on those government guarantees. As we know, much of the debt at state-owned enterprises is underwritten by government guarantees, and the Treasury saying it will continue to assess those guarantees, determine where those need to be extended, but also admitting that the 23 billion rand over the next 10 years that it's going to have to dole out to Eskom is a concern, and Treasury's Budget Office saying they have had to, since President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address, have to rejig the figures, and they're looking at what they're going to do, because they now have to speed up those payments to Eskom, and a bill to that effect should be also brought to Parliament pretty soon.
Now, Treasury also looking in-house as to what they need to clean up there, especially pertaining to errant officials in its ranks. What steps are they planning to take?
Well, it says it's very committed to implementing all those recommendations of the Nugent Commission of Inquiry, and they have already started doing that and pledging to bring policy documents and, where necessary, regulations and legislation to Parliament within the course of this year that pertain to fulfilling those regulations. There was also the issue of a forensic probe into Treasury officials last year for this integrated financial management system, where we know processes were not above board, and the Treasury Director General saying charge sheets are being prepared for those officials in the department. Some have already left, but those who are still around who were involved in that, and they are committed to consequence management and taking action even against their own.